We interrupt this regular scheduled programming to bring you this historic Pacifica radio interview with former President George W. Bush.
We got a great show for you tonight, my friends. Special guest, top of the hour, exclusive. He's crisscrossing the country. He's doing Oprah. He's doing the Today Show. He's doing every show on Fox, obviously. But he's here with us tonight, my friends. The 43rd President of the United States of America. Yes, it is George W. Bush. Mr. President, how are you?
Hey, it's real great to be with you all. I appreciate you having me on. Promote Decision Points, answer some questions.
How's the tour? How's the book tour going?
Well, it's actually going real well. Yeah, I've been on most every Fox channel. That's a lot of that's my audience, but I appreciate having me on your show. We're number one on the New York Times bestseller list. I'm grateful for that, and I couldn't be more happy.
Now, the rumor is, though, that you did not write any of the book, but only posed on the cover of the book cover. Is that correct? Did you write?
That's not totally true. The way it works is you sit down with they got these ghost writers,
right?
And you basically they'd ask me some questions. I'd tell them the story,
mm-hmm.
and they put it in better words than I could. So I never really wrote anything down, but
right.
They did ask me, they asked me about this and that. They just transcribe it, and since I'm on KPFT, I feel like we should. I want to be honest. I gotta say, I didn't get to be so honest in Decision Points. I definitely want to, answer any questions you have honestly. If there's something.
All right. Well, here's a question that has come up time and time again. The Iraq War. You told the American people, you told the United Nations, you told our allies that Saddam Hussein was sitting on a stockpile of some of the most destructive weapons of mass destruction man has ever created. It turns out he did not have a thimble of mustard gas or a shot glass of VX nerve agent. So the question becomes, where is the weapons of mass destruction, or were you just lying for other reasons?
Well, I'll be honest with you. I wouldn't call it any type of outright lie. I would like to call it, it was a faith-based decision that we made, that my administration made, and we certainly knew that we didn't have any intel that he had weapons, but we needed to create, the scenario. We needed to create what we thought he had. So we really did think he had mobile weapons left. But, obviously it was, we had animators draw those.
Right.
And we hoped that after we got in there, we'd go in, we'd find the weapon. We were 99% sure that that's how it was going to go. Now, I say 99 because there's always 1% margin for error, which is what happened.
Right. So you thought he had weapons, you prayed upon that he would have weapons, and your prayers were not answered. Is that correct?
Well, no, that's not true. My prayers were answered,
okay.
And, I prayed on it hard. A lot of us in the White House prayed, and, it turned out, I was told in the prayers, I was told that he had weapons.
Right.
So I'm not sure exactly, I wonder, who was I talking to?
Did God tell you he had weapons too when you prayed?
Well, yeah, that.
Are you upset with God that he might have misled you?
Well, I'm not going to say I'm upset. I'm just a little confused, maybe disappointed. I'd like to say I remain faithful as I can be.
Right. So what does that say to the faith-based community? Pray less and read more?
Well, I like to I want people to make their own, conclusions.
I mean, Mr. President, you prayed to God, you prayed to Jesus, you prayed for weapons of mass destruction. You were utterly wrong in your prayers and your estimations. At some point, do you question God's existence and maybe that Jesus steered you down the wrong path?
I never could say this in office, but yeah, in all honesty, I do question, I certainly question my faith now. And, I had to sit down one night and I said to Laura, I said, if here I am, a faithful man, if I'm the most powerful man on the planet, and I'm praying to God, and I'm getting answers back, and they turn out to be wrong, and things I'm praying for go unheard, then it makes me wonder, is there a God? The conclusion I come up with is there's absolutely not. It was an invention. But I still remain faithful.
Let me ask you about 9/11. Certainly a dark day in America's history. You certainly benefited from it. The first question I have, at the school, when you were told that America was under attack, to the average observer, you looked like a chicken with his head cut off. What was going through your mind when Andy Card told you that, Mr. President, we're under attack?
Yeah, I actually remember that very vividly, and I didn't get to, elaborate on it in the book as much as I would have wanted to. Basically, Andy came up to me, and when he told me about the tower, he said, first he holds up the sign and says, don't tell anyone yet. And then, at first, I thought, certainly he's going to come back to me, and he's going to say, no, I made a mistake, it didn't happen.
Mm-hmm.
And I think there's, a couple minutes long where I just thought, I'm sure, I was like in a state of denial.
Did you pray? Did you pray at that point?
Well, no, not at that point. Not till later, but again, I never did have any real answers that were helpful in that area.
Right.
But, one of the things that I thought was, I hope someone else fixes this. I'd always felt like, I hired a good team to come in with me.
Mm-hmm.
I had a great administration, and this is one of the reasons I hired them is because when there was a big decision like this, hopefully they would they'd handle it.
Well,
and they did.
They messed you up on the Iraq War. They messed you up on 9/11. They messed you up on Katrina. To the average observer, it seemed like your team sucked.
Well, I think they're all all good people. I just think that
your vice president shot a man in the face. How is he a good person?
Well, that's I get a lot of jokes about that. Cheney, he is a violent man, and it certainly never surprised me. One of the things I talk about in the book is how there's a I don't want to get into it. It's a difficult story about I had a miscarried sibling in a jar. My mom showed me in a jar. In a way, it prepared me for working with Cheney. The man has all kinds of human parts in jars in his own office, and I guess I wasn't even shocked by it. And that's just that's just Dick. That's how it works.
Well, I read, yes, that he keeps his heart in a jar of formaldehyde, but I could be wrong. Maybe you can shed some light on that.
Well, that's not his heart, but I don't want to get into his stories.
What about getting back to 9/11? How do you go from 9/11, Bin Laden, and then connect it to Saddam Hussein? That for a lot of people, when I say a lot of people, 99% of the world, that made no sense.
Well, I appreciate that question. First of all, one of the things, when I got elected, one of the first things even when I was running, I talked about I want to go back to Iraq. I want to go and finish a job. And, we'd already been working on it even before 9/11, getting ready for the invasion. So, when 9/11 happened, it just turned out to be somewhat of a convenient situation.
There's a lot of talk amongst some of the fringe elements of society, but it's out there that you actually were behind 9/11, you and your administration, that you need a new Pearl Harbor. You concocted these planes to fly into buildings, allegedly. What do you say to those folks that think that you actually were behind the attacks of September 11th?
Yeah. There certainly could be a case made for that if 9/11 didn't happen. Maybe we would have had to manufacture something, because we definitely wanted. This was at the time, I thought, a necessary war. Turned out not to be the case.